The story's name is File 1427140, and you may formally call me How I came to be in possession of this story is not of relevance. Simply accept that I have it. This is a tale like many others before it, one of great irony, misery, and injustice. Our story begins in the forest, outside the reach of anyone foolish enough to venture far into it. Just past an unknown stream lies a cottage. Within this cottage lives a man whose very existence is unknown to the world. His name, now long forgotten, has never been uttered by anyone besides his mother and him. But it has been a long time since then, and now, alone, the man continues to live. Unmoved by the world surrounding him, untouched by the corruption that waits just beyond the forest's seemingly near limitless reaches. However, unbeknownst to him, there lies an even greater threat within the forest. A great hunger is creeping in, wanting flesh and bone. It will stop at nothing to capture easy prey. The man begins to pack his things. It's hunting time. He opens the wooden door of his cabin and takes a step outside. The evening air fills his nostrils. He can smell the river and the trees flowing gently in the wind. If the man had a comment about the day, he kept it to himself, as there was no need for communication at a time like this. He could hear the stream's water and the chirping of cicadas, as well as the fleeting, cool autumn air. If I could take a guess, he probably thought that this night would be perfect for a hunt, or maybe even a picnic. I almost pity him. He ventures further and further into the forest, almost not needing eyesight to navigate. He was used to this. It was routine at this point. As twigs and branches snapped beneath his feet, he walked confidently through the forest. Crouching within some woody underbrush, he hears what may have been the sound of a boar. He slowly makes his way over to the noise, being careful to not give away his position. He raises his makeshift crossbow into the air and aligns it with the boar. He slowly puts pressure on the grip, and then the man then walks over to the boar, whose wails of agony are almost insufferable to the normal person. But this is no normal person. This is routine. He stands over the beast and releases one last arrow into it. I can't tell whether he pities the boar or resents it. Leaning in closer, as he makes a puzzled expression, if I were to guess, he probably thought to himself that this was just another example of survival of the fittest. that he had triumphed because he adapted to better survive this place. At least, that's what I think may have ran through his mind. All of a sudden, the man's train of thought was snapped, like the twig in a nearby bush. Something about this night was creeping into him, as though the forest itself was trying to warn him about something. He held up his crossbow and slowly approached whatever may have made that noise. Approaching the bush, he saw something most foul and unsavory. It appeared to be the shape of a man who was hunched over and quietly sobbing. However, unlike the man, the other one had several extra appendages attached to his body by nails and strings, as well as what seemed to be bone popping out of various spots in the thing's body. The deformed humanoid looked up at the man in disdain and did not utter a single word. What felt like an eternity passed as they stared at one another, the man too scared to move, and the beast whose motive was unknown. Finally, the man took action, rushing away from the scene and panting. As he ran, he could hear it behind him. Taking cover behind a tree, he counted the arrows he had left. 1, 2. If only you could see the expression on his face as he had realized he had dropped several as he ran. Grinding his teeth, the man loaded one of the 2 remaining bolts. He had heard the cock of the mechanism. Just then, from behind the bushes, it pounced, leaving a gash on the man's side. He winced in pain as the thing drew closer and closer. Just before it reached him, the man raised the crossbow and clenched his finger against the trigger. Bleeding out, the man crawled over to it and discovered a note in one of its hands. It read, "In the door lies the key, Inte innen." In his last moments, he spoke aloud. All that for a sheet of paper.